And we're here. Welcome everyone to today's Video Guys Newsday Tuesday. We have a special guest in the studio with us. In fact, let's start by saying this is our first show in our new studio. This is Paul Richards from PTZOptics and Stream Geeks. Welcome to the new studio.
Happy to be here on the first show, Gary.
We're real excited. As we like to tell you, we give us 15, 20 minutes. We're going to tell you about the latest new technology in our industry. And today what we're going to talk about is PTZOptics Cameras. So to get started, I'm just going to kick it right to Paul. Tell us a little bit about PTZOptics. What do you guys do? What do you guys sell? And what makes your stuff so cool?
So PTZOptics, we make pan, tilt, and zoom cameras. And we do basically cameras for video production and live streaming on a budget. So our tagline is broadcast quality made affordable. You'll be surprised what you can get from PTZOptics on a budget. Multi-camera systems, really trying to give you guys the tools you need to bring your video production and quality up and have a great production, something like what we're doing here.
Cool. And one of the things that we like about you guys that's amazing is you got the big guys. You got Sony, you got Panasonic. They invented the PTZ camera category for all intents and purposes, but also they're about twice as expensive as you guys.
Yeah.
How do you manage to give that superior? I mean, the video quality, folks, I'm not going to say it's equal, but I'm going to say most people can't tell the difference. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say for sure, and especially with the new tech NDI that we're going to be talking a little bit about. It's a quantum leap in technology that's going to allow you to do quite a bit and simplify your installation and all of that. How do we do it, Gary? I'm not the engineer. I'm not sure, but I can tell you we're using PTZOptics cameras in our show. If you ever take a look at it, we have 8 cameras, all color matched, good lighting. It really can look great on a budget.
It's just amazing. You jumped the gun on me, so I'm going to throw the ball to you. NDI Upgrade, guys. We've done a lot of shows on this. NDI is new technology that allows you to connect your cameras, your mixers, and a lot of other devices, software and hardware, to your production using nothing more than gigabit Ethernet and even Wi-Fi. So you don't need HDMI cables, you don't need SDI cables, and more importantly than that, it's a two-way communication. So not only you send the video to the mixer, but the mixer can talk back to the camera for tally lights or for operators talking or for sending the signal back to a monitor. I could have a reference monitor here for my talent monitor if I wanted. So let's kick it to you. We've been hearing about NDI. You guys are a close partner of Newtex. You're supposed to have NDI out of the gun pretty soon.
Yeah.
December, almost end of December 2017. When are we going to see NDI with your PTZ cameras?
January 3rd is when we are going to be releasing the firmware for the SDI PTZOptics models. These are the top-selling PTZ cameras in the country right now. So there are thousands and thousands of people waiting for this. It had to be perfect, but it's going to allow everyone with the PoE built in to have one Ethernet cable to power the camera, control the camera, whether they're using our IP joystick or a NewTek TriCaster product, for example, and get video and audio. So everything over a single Ethernet cable.
Now, for about 2 weeks, because January 3rd is coming up pretty fast, people are going to be able to buy that upgrade for only $300, correct?
Yes.
And any Gen 2 PTZOptics camera can support that upgrade. So right now, we like to say there's a double dip opportunity. You could actually buy a brand new PTZ camera from you guys and the $300 firmware, and you could be under $2,000 for an NDI camera. That's pretty amazing, because after January 3rd, the cost is going up to...
Well, you know what? Actually, we're going to keep that 50% price going until we officially start shipping the PTZOptics cameras with the built-in firmware. And if you look at the part number here, we have PT12X SDI Gray Gen 2. What that will be, once it's shipping, instead of SDI, it will be NDI. So if you know our part numbers already, it's instead of SDI, it's just NDI. And once that's officially shipping, which we're looking at March, April, then we will raise the price to $600. But keep in mind, that's a flexible date, so you do want to get your purchases in now for the.
But it also means that you'll be able to get a PTZOptics camera with NDI for under $2,000 for at least the next a little bit more into January at some point.
Yes, and I did want to mention the firmware upgrade does take about 15 minutes. You do need to have it on your network. It's not the easiest thing in the world. I wish I could say it was. It took me a little while to figure out. I've done one before. I can do it quickly now. But if you're just getting out there, you might want to wait for the actual NDI camera, because if you need NDI and you don't want to have to upgrade the firmware, That's the goal.
Gotcha.
In 2018.
Now we're going to go to another subject. Let's talk about this. These box cameras,
Yes.
the ZCams. Tell us a little about this. And, this was a product that you called me and said, hey, Gary, we've got these ZCam products. You got to be selling these. You're not selling these. I said, well, why would I sell these? It doesn't make sense. You sell panties. You're missing it. And a lot of studios and a lot of sports and a lot of venues like a church or a house of worship, you have a situation where you just need a fixed camera.
Yeah.
And these are beautiful, and they're a fraction of the cost of PTZ cameras. So tell us about the ZCams a little bit.
So one of the beauties of our ZCams, we've got two models. We have one variable lens ZCam, and that one actually you can put any CL lens on. And one of the things I love about that is that means you can plug it into a telescope and live stream the moon. You can plug it into all kinds of lenses. And then we have our 20X. And if you know PTZOptics and you know pan-tilt zoom cameras, the PTZOptics 20X SDI is the best-selling pan-tilt zoom camera in the country. So what we wanted was a camera that had the exact same lens. So when you put the PTZOptics 20X right next to the 20X ZCam, the color matching, all of the settings can be exactly the same. So what it will do in our studio is we have 4 main cameras, and then we've got 4 other cameras I'll tell you about later. But our 4 main cameras are 2 PTZOptics 20X SDIs, and then right on top are 2 20X ZCams. So the ZCams will get the shot that you always need, always can get back to that you and I shot.
Right.
And then the pan-tilt zoom will get the close-up of Gary. Fade from your main ZCam to the close-up. Now, back to this, and then rotate the PTZ. Now it's the close-up of me. So with the combination of one PTZ and one ZCam, people don't know you don't have
Looks like you have 6 or
5.
7 cameras.
Exactly.
That's very cool. We're going to use one of these. We're going to mount it on the ceiling looking down at the switcher board. So in the future, you're going to be able to get a little shot of Courtney and Ed, who's ever working the board, seeing what we're doing. We'll cut over to that. But the studio, we're able to do a live production from it, but we're not done. The studio is still a work in progress. We got a couple more weeks to go. But I think you can agree we're getting there. We've made some good progress.
Good lighting. I mean, I got some suggestions for you, but it's looking really good.
One of the things we want to talk about with PTZ cameras is we have seen as the technology has grown, we've been selling the streaming products for years now. One of the things that's happened is the technology works. It's pretty easy. It's not expensive anymore. But you know what does cost money is you still need live operators.
Yes.
And if I'm going to shoot a wedding or I'm going to shoot a corporate event or something, I've got to pay someone to operate a camera. That's a cost that goes into my cost of my productions. If I have 3 cameras and I'm paying 3 camera people, all of a sudden there's my profitability.
Yes.
So what we're telling people is no, PTZ cameras, you can use all PTZs if you want. We're all for that. But certainly you don't need more than 1 operator really for most solutions. So if you want to get 3 cameras, which a 3-camera shoot is pretty industry standard, we're saying, hey, do your 3-camera shoot, have 2 of the cameras be PTZ, and if you switch through that center camera like you talked about, you can give that optical illusion of having even more cameras. Like you said, you can zoom in, wide shot, angle shots. One of the things I think we want to talk to our customers about is the different markets and the different market segments and how PTZ cameras fit in. So the first one we want to talk about is education. Tell us a little bit about how schools are using PTZ cameras.
Yeah, so one of the nice things about the cameras, even if they're just using the USB models, so a lot of schools, instead of using the SDI models, will use the USB models and plug them right into their computers. So if you plug it right into your computer and it's basically a high-powered webcam, if you will, that can be used with Moodle, with Blackboard, with Skype, all of the different things that can just use a webcam. So what we'll see is they're using it as a USB connection for video and actually audio. Because there's an audio input. You can actually run a microphone into it. So for lecture capture.
And your PTZ cameras is an audio mic
yes,
input, which is very important because a lot of other ones that may cost twice as much do not have those audio jacks.
The audio jack is nice, and it does embed directly into the IP stream, the USB stream. And one of the things that's great about our PTZOptics cameras is that all of the video outputs are simultaneous. So the teacher could have HDMI just to see what's going on as a confidence monitor, USB to her computer, which is automatically going up to the cloud, to
Skype,
Moodle,
whatever.
Blackboard, Skype. And then you've got your IP stream, which can also embed the audio, so you can have an IT person who's maybe managing 10 classrooms. He can control the cameras for the teachers. He can listen in to make sure everything sounds okay, all over the network.
Very cool. So as you can see, education, big vertical market for this stuff. If you're into education, you're thinking about getting into streaming, give the video guys a call, 800-323-2325. We've got live people. We'll help tell you what gear you need to do it. Another vertical that we find is just exploding for web streaming, houses of worship.
Oh yes, definitely. Houses of worship, one of their biggest pain points is working with volunteers. So volunteers are crucial for houses of worship to be able to operate and especially put on a video production. The need for it is clear. There are people all around the world who need to come into the house of worship that might not be able to attend every week. There might be families with kids who are traveling with their sports team. They still want to stay connected. My wife from St. Louis, Missouri, has moved out to live with me and our family here in Philadelphia, but she still wants to stay connected to the church that she grew up with. And I was able to help them, create a live streaming system where now my wife, when she feels like that need to, on a Sunday, be with her local pastor and the pastor that she grew up with, now she can. So people are all around the world, we're a global world now, being able to go and be with their local churches.
We also find a lot of houses of worship will use it to send the ceremony to an overflow room, like if they can't fit everyone in the main congregation, or what we're finding in certain areas of the country, there's a main church, and there's like satellite churches around, and they like to hear the sermon from the big main preacher. So they'll go where it's not closed circuit, but that's how we used to think of it, where we'll take the stream and you'll send it to the other satellite churches, and it may be going out to the internet, it may not be, but we find that they're using it for that purpose as well.
Yeah, so the overflow rooms that you mentioned are crucial. And with the new tech NDI, that's going to make it so much easier. For example, you could have just any Windows computer, usually with like an i5 processor, just plugged into a television on your network, and now I can pick up any camera source, any video feed from Wirecast or the TriCaster, and it's all over a network, which is going to make it so much cheaper than extending HDMI all over the place. That was possibly impossible at certain times.
And especially with the next segment we're going to talk about, which was sports. You can't run a cable across a football field or across the baseball diamond. But we are finding that people using PTZ cameras in sports all the time. Number one, gets rid of the operator. Number two, you can put a PTZ camera up on top of the basketball, hoop, where you're not going to actually allow someone to stand there.
Yeah.
And we also find that, once again, it lets you operate the show from a single or a few operators pulling the whole show together. But sports have some unique problems of their own, too. So talk a little bit about some of the complexities that a sports program brings in.
So I have so many things to talk about in the sports market. It's going to be a major focus for us in 2018. We feel like our cameras are very good for sports, specifically because not only do we support 1080p 60 frames per second, because you want that
critical for slow motion,
but we've also actually been asked to build in 720p 120 frames per second, which is now available in the brand new Gen 2 model. So for slow motion, it's really nice.
And if you're using like replay, which now, all the 2 years ago, replay was something very expensive. Now vMix has replay in it. The TC1 has replay built into it. Wirecast has got some replay. So almost all the streaming softwares now have some level of replay. And the more frames you have, the faster the frame rate, the better the replay looks. It's that simple. So 720p, very cool. I didn't know that.
120 frames per second. I wanted to tell you about that today.
You'll be able to actually be the replay official.
I know. Well, we're going to be doing a lot of replay, a lot of slow motion, but in sports in particular. So we've got this. Facebook is investing $1 billion in sports, getting on Facebook Live. And from high school sports to my favorite use case is the students in high school who are being seen by scouts around the world.
Right.
This literally couldn't go to the show. And now just because the high school or the college has invested in just a few cameras to create a production that the scout's actually going to watch. You can't just put a webcam up there and think the scout's going to get anything out of that. You got to have a couple pan tilt zoom cameras. You got to show them the action. And with Wirecast, we talked about vMix, the TriCaster, a couple pan tilt zoom cameras. We're not talking about a huge investment for a school. They can put on what looks like a pretty good television quality production and get these kids scholarships, get them into a college level or a professional level sport.
And on high school sports, your stuff will work with Cube. It'll also work with Huddle and some of those other software packages that the coaches and the trainers and the kids are using. But you're right, the ability to have that video where you can really show off. If you've got a gem, just a kid who's a real star, you can put that PTZ camera, make sure you can get all the shots. Very cool. So that's exciting.
Before we leave the sports market, by the way, one last thing I want to mention.
One more thing.
Is sports analytics. So the ability for Olympic sports people, the ability for people who are trying in a professional level, trying to just get their golf swing just that much better. Sports analytics are using the PTZOptics cameras, specifically Dartfish, which is the #1 sports analytics company used by 98% of Olympic gold winners, just announced PTZOptics camera support. So the sports and market in general is heading in a lot of good directions.
Very cool. And speaking of heading in directions, at this point in the show, I want to talk about our next subject, which is stuff that's coming up 2018. What's the future? What's the look ahead for PTZOptics? So before I want to go into that, I just want to say thank you, because we have been very successful with your cameras. It's been a very big part of our workflow solutions. I can't tell you how many times we put together a TriCast or a Wirecast gear with 1, 2, or 3 of your PTZ cameras for your customers, as well as a joystick controller. And being able to offer solutions is what it's all about. Now, this year, you guys did introduce some solutions that are the turnkey, the producer kits. So before we get to 2018, let's transition a little back to 2017 and talk about those producer kits, because I think it's a way for people who want to get started on a budget who can't afford some of these more expensive solutions, can get involved with their choice of software and the flexibility of PTZ cameras. So quickly give us a little overview of the producer kits.
Yeah, so the PTZOptics producer kits starting at just about $4,000 include everything you need to get started. A super fast Intel NUC Skull Canyon gaming PC with 32 gigabytes of RAM, a solid state hard drive, an i7 gaming processor. And the reason why we did that with a PTZOptics camera, a joystick, 100 foot of cabling, is to make it simple so that people can get started with, maybe they're not ready to buy Wirecast or vMix or some of the more expensive streaming solutions. Maybe they just want to start with something free like OBS. Or maybe this also includes the new Tech Connect Pro app. So I've had a lot of customers who already have Wirecast, they already have a TriCaster, and they're looking to set up a remote location in order to set up a couple cameras over the NewTek NDI built into the, to do a shot. Like we have one customer who zooms the camera into the basketball shot clock and then brings that in over NDI into his Wirecast onto the title, so that the shot clock in low latency is showing exactly what it should be in the game itself, the basketball game.
Oh, very cool. Speaking of shot clock and scoreboards, we're actually talking to a company called Sportscast with a Z.
Yes.
And we're going to be carrying their products to let you integrate a scoreboard feed directly into your live production. But this is your show, not their show, so let's get back to PTZOptics. Tell us what we're going to look forward to in 2018. I don't want you to break any NDAs or get fired by your bosses, but I want you to tell us as much as you can.
Okay.
What's coming in 2018?
Well, the NewTek NDI, we keep talking about it. If you don't know about it, do a little research, but it's going to open up so many doors. Whether it's bringing your broadcast camera, your PTZOptics camera directly into Skype with the virtual webcam, whether it's monitoring every camera on your network with the ability to take a joystick, that really excites me. I think the NDI functionality is going to take us far beyond all of the live streaming stuff and into places we never even thought we were going to go. That's exciting to me. PTZOptics is always looking to bring affordable broadcast quality products to market. So I can't say any new products that are coming out because I think I will get in trouble, but keep your eye on PTZOptics because we do have new products coming out soon. The new IP joystick, completely redesigned. It's only $650, control up to 200 cameras with it.
So let me ask a question to you. You can answer that you're not allowed to answer. You can give me some, but we've had some requests by it, and that is people want to know because, Facebook, YouTube Live, and Vimeo are all offering 4K streams.
Yes.
When are we going to see 4K PTZOptics cameras? Do you think we're going to see them next year?
I think we'll definitely see 4K. NDI became a priority for us and pushed our 4K cameras back a little bit in development. 4K streaming and 4K recording is something that I think is really interesting. Currently, we do not have any 4K products, but it's definitely going to be coming in 2018 for sure. I hope by NAB.
Well, Dr. Cross educated me on this. If you've seen some of our NDI shows, I talk about it all the time, is NDI really makes 4K so affordable because if you were going to do 4K in an SDI world, you need 4 jacks on that.
Yeah.
That adds size, money, cooling, complexity. Via that single giggy cable now, you'll be able to get 4K. So it's much more interesting and exciting for you guys. So I'm excited you guys got 4K. I'm not going to hold you to it, but we saw it at NAB. That would be real awesome.
I'm pushing for it, and I'm pushing for. There's going to be new products at NAB. I just can't say when. All I can say is that these products are shipping, they're in stock, and they're a #1 seller for a reason. These are solid 3-year warranty products. You can't beat 1080p 60, built-in 720p 120. I mean, they're good products.
Very cool. Paul, thanks for coming in for the show. I want to remind all our viewers, you can call us at 800-323-2325. We'll teach you all about the stuff we sell. We have live people here. We can talk to you about the PTZ cameras, about the mixers, about the switchers, all the other stuff. You can ask for me, Jim, Courtney, Ed, Britt, live people. We're not just a store with a buy now button. We actually have people who can help you put the right workflow together. And you know what? If you get your PTZOptics cameras from us and you had some problems, guess who I'm going to call to help us out in a pinch? Because these guys are great too, and they offer customer services as good as ours. So this is Gary from Videoguys.com, Paul Richards from PTZOptics. Peace.
Take care, everybody.
Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.